The sun had barely begun to rise over the rugged canyons of northern Arizona, but the ranch was already alive with tension. A soft mist lingered over the corral, swirling around the hooves of a wild horse that no one had dared approach. Its coat was dappled with dust and streaked with streaks of sun-kissed brown. But there was something in its eyes, a flicker of urgency, that drew the gaze of Tom Hensley, a middle-aged rancher with calloused hands and a heart heavy from years of quiet grief. Tom wasn't just any rancher. He carried a secret sorrow, one that had haunted him ever since the day two young girls, sisters from a nearby town, vanished without a trace 4 years ago. The police had combed the canyons, scoured the woods, followed every lead. But the girls, Emily and Sarah, had disappeared like whispers in the wind. For years, Tom had wondered if he would ever see them again, if anyone ever would. And now, standing in the early morning fog, he felt something stir in him, a flicker of hope he didn't dare acknowledge. The horse pawed at the ground, its nostrils flaring as if sensing something invisible. Tom had first noticed the animal several days ago. Unlike the other horses on his ranch, this one had a strange intensity, a focus that seemed almost human. It appeared at odd times, appearing near the edge of the canyon or lingering by old trails long abandoned. At first, Tom dismissed it as a coincidence, but now, watching its tense posture and restless energy, he felt a creeping sense of destiny. "You're leading me somewhere, aren't you?" he whispered, voice barely audible over the crisp morning air. The horse flicked its ears, tossing its maner like a banner of defiance, and then trotted toward the north ridge. Tom hesitated. This was uncharted territory, the kind of wild, jagged land even seasoned ranchers avoided. But something about the horse's urgency pulled at him, and he followed. As he climbed the steep trail, memories surfaced. Memories of the girls playing near the old oak by the creek, their laughter mingling with the sound of horses in the pasture. It had been 4 long years, and in all that time, no one had found a single clue. But now, with the wild horse leading him, Tom felt a tension building in his chest, a mixture of fear and anticipation that was almost unbearable. By the time he reached a rocky outcrop overlooking a narrow canyon, the horse stopped. Its ears pricked forward, and its eyes locked on a shadowed recess far below. Tom squinted, trying to make out what the animal had seen. At first, all he could see were twisted roots and jagged rocks, but then his heart skipped a beat. A faint glimmer of fabric caught in the sunlight, hanging from a bush like a forgotten banner. He froze, breath shallow. Could it be? Could it really be them? The horse neighed softly, almost impatiently, as if urging him to move faster. Tom scrambled down the canyon's edge, careful not to dislodge loose stones, his pulse pounding in his ears. Every step brought a new wave of anxiety. What if the girls were gone? What if they had been harmed? Or worse, what if the years had been cruel to them in ways he couldn't imagine? Finally, he reached the spot the horse had been fixated on. There, partially hidden behind a cluster of boulders, were signs of life, small, deliberate markings carved into the rock, messages left perhaps in desperation or hope. And beneath a tangled thicket, he saw them, Emily and Sarah, alive but thin and wary, their eyes wide with disbelief. The horse stood quietly beside him, as if it had known all along that Tom needed to witness this moment, that the girls needed to see a familiar face before they would trust anyone else. Tom's voice trembled as he called their names, each syllable carrying 4 years of anguish, fear, and longing. They didn't move at first. Years of isolation had hardened them in some ways, yet the bond of recognition, the faint glimmer of memory, shone in their eyes. Slowly, cautiously, they approached. Tom knelt on the rocky ground, arms outstretched, tears streaking his weathered face. The girls collapsed into his embrace, sobbing freely, releasing years of fear and longing. And through it all, the horse watched, still tense but unyielding, as if it were both guardian and guide. It had led him to them, its instincts sharper than any human's intuition, its understanding of danger and hope intertwined with a strange intelligence that defied explanation. The sun climbed higher, illuminating the canyon with golden light. Tom held the girls close, murmuring reassurances he had kept locked away for years. You're safe now, he repeated, each word carrying the weight of 4 long, unbearable years. And behind them, the horse lowered its head, nostrils flaring with relief, as if it too had been carrying a burden that could finally be laid down. But the story was far from over. Even as relief washed over Tom, he sensed that this discovery was only the beginning. Questions lingered. How had the girls survived all these years? Who, or what, had kept them hidden? And what had prompted the horse to lead him here, now, after so much time? The air felt electric, heavy with suspense, as Tom glanced back at the horse. There was a connection there, an unspoken communication that neither fully understood but both respected. And as he looked at the girls, safe for the first time in years, he realized that their reunion was more than a rescue. It was a testament to trust, courage, and the inexplicable bond between humans and horses. If you're feeling the emotion right now, don't forget to hit that like button. There's more to this story than just a miraculous reunion. Stay tuned, because what comes next will reveal secrets no one could have imagined, and the horse's role in this tale is far from over. The canyon was silent, save for the soft rustle of leaves and the distant call of a hawk. Tom Hensley held the girls tightly, but he knew there wasn't a moment to waste. The land around them was rugged, unpredictable, and still full of mysteries. Emily and Sarah were alive, but after 4 long years, they were changed. Their eyes, wide with a mixture of relief and lingering fear, darted toward the shadows of the canyon as if danger might leap from the rocks at any moment. "You're safe now," Tom whispered again, though the words felt fragile in the heavy air. "We'll get you home." But the girls didn't respond immediately. Their voices were quiet, almost hesitant, as if speaking would shatter the fragile bridge between the past and this new reality. Emily, the older sister, clutched her knees to her chest, glancing at the horse. It led him to us," she murmured, awe and disbelief mingling in her tone. Sarah nodded, eyes never leaving the animal. "It knew." Tom looked at the horse, still standing tall and alert, ears swiveling with every sound, muscles taut as if guarding the girls. There was a strange intelligence in those dark eyes, a silent understanding that the canyon held secrets only it could navigate. Tom felt a shiver run down his spine. Somehow, someway, this horse had been part of their survival, an unspoken guide, a guardian in a world that had forgotten them. The descent back to the ranch was slow and careful. The canyon was treacherous, and Tom refused to rush, knowing that any slip could undo the miracle of this moment. Along the way, he asked gentle questions, weaving the safety of the present with the fragments of the past. "How did you manage all this time?" he asked softly. Emily's voice trembled, revealing the scars hidden beneath her composed exterior. "It's hard to explain," she said. "We survived. We had to. But the horse, it would appear sometimes. Watching, guiding. We couldn't touch it, couldn't call it, just knew it was there. It kept us from straying into danger." Tom's breath caught. For 4 years, he had imagined the worst. That they had been lost, captured, or worse. And here they were, alive, and all the while a wild horse had been silently protecting them. The story was almost too incredible to believe, yet he had seen it with his own eyes. The bond between the girls and this horse was palpable, a silent language written in trust, instinct, and survival. Hours passed as they carefully navigated the canyon. Tom carried Sarah when her small legs faltered, and Emily took turns scanning the terrain ahead. The horse led the way, occasionally glancing back as if checking their progress. There was a rhythm to their journey, a rhythm that spoke of endurance, patience, and the quiet courage required to face both human and natural threats. By mid-afternoon, they reached a small clearing near a hidden stream. Here, the girls had been taking shelter during storms and avoiding wild animals. The area was rough, with makeshift shelters crafted from fallen branches and scraps of fabric, a testament to ingenuity born of necessity. Tom knelt beside them, examining their small refuge, feeling a mix of awe and heartbreak. How had these young girls endured so much, surviving hunger, fear, and isolation, guided by the instincts of a wild horse? "Tom," Emily said softly, breaking the tense silence, "we never would have lasted without it. We tried following trails before, it always led us back here. Every time." Tom's eyes welled with tears again. He reached out to the horse, gently stroking its maner, feeling the warmth and power beneath his fingers. "You did more than we could have ever imagined," he murmured. The horse shifted its weight, flaring its nostrils, as if acknowledging his words, and then nudged Sarah lightly, a silent gesture of reassurance. But even in this moment of relief, the tension remained. Questions lingered like shadows. How had they been hidden for so long without anyone noticing? Who, or what, had kept them away from towns and trails? And, most importantly, how had this horse appeared at exactly the right moment, with an intelligence that seemed almost human? Nightfall approached, painting the canyon walls in deep oranges and purples. Tom gathered the girls close, building a small fire with the wood they had collected. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows across their faces, highlighting both their youthful innocence and the resilience that had carried them through years of uncertainty. They shared sparse stories, moments of fear, moments of wonder, moments when the horse's silent guidance had saved them from danger. One story, in particular, stood out. During a sudden storm months ago, Emily had slipped and tumbled down a steep incline, but the horse had appeared out of nowhere, positioning itself to cushion her fall. She remembered the shock and gratitude, realizing even then that the animal was not just wild, it was protective, almost sentient in its understanding of danger. Tom listened, heart pounding, realizing that this discovery was more than just a rescue. It was a revelation about trust, instinct, and the unspoken bonds that can exist between humans and animals. For 4 years, the horse had been a silent guardian, its presence the difference between life and death. And now, with the girls safe and the story unfolding, Tom knew the world needed to witness this miracle. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, looking at the horizon, "we'll get you both home. But tonight, we rest. You're safe here. I promise." He glanced at the horse, which stood at the edge of the clearing, ears twitching, eyes alert, muscles coiled like a living shadow. The bond between man, horse, and children was cemented in this moment, a silent understanding that they had all survived together, and now they could face the world again. As the fire crackled, Tom reflected on the journey ahead. The girls had endured unimaginable challenges, and yet their spirits remained unbroken. The horse had been the guiding force, the unseen hand that had navigated danger and protected innocence. And he knew, deep in his bones, that this story of survival, trust, and the bond between human and horse was one that could inspire and captivate anyone who heard it. For viewers watching this unfold, the story was more than a tale of rescue. It was a testament to courage, hope, and the miracles that can happen when humans and animals connect in ways beyond understanding. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow the next chapter of this incredible journey. What comes next will reveal not just how the girls survived, but the shocking truth behind why they were missing, and the horse's remarkable role in uncovering it. The night had passed quietly in the canyon, but the morning brought with it a sense of urgency. Tom knew that staying in the wilderness was no longer safe, not just for the girls, but for the horse, which had been guiding them with unwavering precision. As dawn broke, a thin mist curled around the jagged rocks, turning the canyon into a world of shadows and silhouettes. The horse pawed the ground, its breath steaming in the cool air, signaling that it was ready to move. Tom understood. The animal was more than a guide now. It was a key, leading him toward answers he had feared to uncover. Tom packed the sparse belongings the girls had carried with them: tattered blankets, small trinkets, and scraps of dried food. Emily and Sarah, still wary but slowly gaining confidence, followed, glancing nervously at the canyon walls. For 4 years, this rugged, unforgiving terrain had been their home, and leaving it felt like stepping into the unknown. Yet the horse's calm, steady presence offered a strange reassurance. As they moved along a narrow trail, the horse suddenly stopped and lifted its head, ears forward, muscles tensed. Tom squinted ahead and noticed a faint trail of disturbed earth and broken branches, signs that someone else had been here recently. His pulse quickened. For 4 years, he had feared that whoever had taken the girls might still be out there, hiding in the shadows, watching. "This way," Tom whispered, following the horse as it led them down a twisting path toward a hidden alcove. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, with the weight of secrets long buried. Then, just as they rounded a sharp bend, the truth hit him like a thunderclap. There, partially concealed beneath an overhang, was the remnants of a makeshift shelter, signs of recent habitation. Footprints, faint but unmistakable, led deeper into a narrow canyon slit. Emily froze. They're still here," she murmured, voice trembling. "Somebody's been watching us." Tom's heart pounded. He had imagined this moment countless times, the girl's rescue, but nothing had prepared him for the reality that danger still lingered. Yet, at the same time, the horse nudged him gently, as if urging him to stay calm and think clearly. Its instincts were sharper than any human intuition he had ever known, and Tom leaned into that trust. The horse led them closer to the shelter. As they approached, Tom caught sight of something he wasn't expecting: scattered belongings, notes, and personal items that belonged to Emily and Sarah. Whoever had taken them, or had kept them hidden, had been meticulous. The girls looked at the remnants in disbelief, a mixture of anger and fear flashing across their faces. "They knew everything," Sarah whispered. "They watched everything." Suddenly, the horse snorted, its ears pinned back. From the shadows, a figure emerged, a man, tall and gaunt, his face partially obscured by a hood. Tom's muscles tensed. He didn't know if this was the person responsible or someone else entirely. Yet the horse stepped forward, a barrier between the girls and the intruder. It was as if the animal understood the stakes. One wrong move, and the years of survival, trust, and guidance could be destroyed in an instant. "Who are you?" Tom demanded, voice firm but controlled. The figure paused, then slowly lifted the hood, revealing a face lined with age, worry, and something darker, secrets too heavy to carry lightly. I didn't mean to hurt them," the man stammered. I just..." Emily stepped forward, trembling. "You lied. You hid us. For 4 years." Her voice cracked, a raw blend of rage and relief. The man's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know what else to do. I thought I was protecting you from something worse. But I see now. I made it worse. Before he could continue, the horse let out a sharp whinny, startling everyone. Its gaze was unwavering, piercing, demanding truth. It had sensed deceit, and in that instant, the canyon seemed to shrink around the trio. The weight of years, the fear, the longing, all converged in that moment, as the horse silently insisted that nothing would remain hidden. Tom stepped closer to the girls, protective yet resolute. "We're getting out of here," he said firmly. "But everything has to come out. No more lies. No more secrets." The man nodded, shoulders sagging with surrender. The journey back to the ranch was tense, every step measured, every sound amplified by the canyon walls. The horse remained vigilant, walking slightly ahead, glancing back at Tom and the girls as if ensuring their safety. With each turn of the trail, the revelation grew heavier. They were not just survivors of isolation, they had been at the mercy of human deception as well. Yet through it all, the horse had been the constant, the silent force guiding them to freedom and truth. By the time the ranch came into view, the sun had climbed high, casting long shadows across the fields. Tom called ahead, alerting the family and local authorities to the rescue. The horse, still tense but obedient, brought the girls to the corral, allowing them to step safely onto familiar ground. Relief washed over Tom, but he knew the story wasn't finished. There were questions to answer, wounds to heal, and a community to reassure. As the girls reunited with their family, Tom watched the horse carefully. It had brought them this far, navigated danger, and demanded truth. The bond forged between human and animal was extraordinary, unspoken, yet undeniable. It was a reminder that sometimes, the guidance we need comes from the most unexpected places. Emily hugged Tom tightly, tears streaming down her face. "We wouldn't be here without him," she whispered, glancing at the horse with awe. Sarah nodded, burying her face in Tom's shoulder. He saved us." Tom felt a lump in his throat. 4 years of fear, longing, and uncertainty had led to this moment. And through it all, the horse had been the unseen hero, a bridge between despair and hope, guiding them towards safety and justice. As the day ended, Tom, the girls, and the horse stood together under the golden light of late afternoon. The canyon, once a place of fear and mystery, now seemed to hum with quiet triumph. This was more than a rescue, it was a revelation, a testament to courage, trust, and the inexplicable connection between humans and horses. For viewers following this story, the suspense is far from over. What had been hidden for 4 years was finally coming to light, but the journey to understanding, justice, and closure was just beginning. If you're inspired by the courage of these girls and the extraordinary role of this horse, Take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. The final chapters will reveal the full truth, the emotional healing, and the bond that no one could ever break. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the ranch, painting the fields in gold and amber. Yet despite the warmth, Tom Hensley's mind was a whirlwind of questions, doubts, and unspoken fears. The girls were safe, for now, but the final pieces of the puzzle still lay hidden, and he could feel the weight of the canyon's secrets pressing down on him. The man who had been discovered in the shadows, Matthew, as he finally admitted, sat quietly by the corral, head bowed. He was a figure haunted by choices, by the burden of 4 years of concealment, and by the knowledge that the horse had seen through his lies long before any human had. Emily and Sarah, still trembling but increasingly composed, watched him cautiously, unsure whether relief or anger should dominate their hearts. Tom approached Matthew slowly. "We need to know everything," he said, voice calm but firm. "No more hiding. No more secrets. You owe them that." Matthew swallowed hard. I thought I was helping," he began. "When you left the investigation to the authorities, I saw them disappear, and I panicked. I thought if anyone found out, it would put them in more danger. I built a place, a hidden shelter, and I visited them sometimes. I watched, I fed them, but I never let anyone know." Emily's eyes narrowed, a mixture of hurt and disbelief. "You kept us here, hidden from the world, from our parents, for 4 years." Her voice cracked with emotion. "Do you understand what that's like?" Matthew's gaze fell. I know. I failed you. I thought I was protecting you, but I see now how wrong I was. The horse, it understood what I didn't. It saw the danger, the need, the trust, and it led Tom to you. The horse saved you from me." The horse, standing tall nearby, flared its nostrils and stamped the ground once, almost as if affirming Matthew's words. There was no aggression, only a quiet authority, an almost human understanding that the truth must be honored. Tom knelt beside the girls, taking their hands in his calloused ones. "It's over," he whispered. "You're safe now. And you're finally going home." But the emotional journey was far from over. The girls had endured isolation, fear, and betrayal, and their hearts still carried the weight of those years. Tom knew that healing would take time, patience, and the continued presence of the extraordinary horse that had guided them through danger and uncertainty. As night fell, the ranch became a sanctuary. Fireflies danced in the fields, illuminating the air like stars fallen to earth. The girls shared their stories in quiet, fragmented sentences, recounting how the horse had appeared at critical moments, leading them away from wild animals, showing them where water could be found, and somehow, always nudging them towards safety without revealing the ultimate truth until the right moment. Emily described one terrifying encounter during a harsh winter. They had become trapped on a narrow ledge above a frozen stream. Panic had gripped them, and the cold was unbearable. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the horse appeared at the edge of the ledge, its presence steady and commanding. It guided them, nudging them one careful step at a time, ensuring that neither girl slipped into the icy water below. Tom's chest tightened as he listened. The courage of these children, and the intelligence of this wild horse, was beyond comprehension. In the days that followed, authorities arrived, documenting evidence, asking questions, and piecing together the timeline of events. Emily and Sarah were reunited with their parents, a moment filled with tears, embraces, and laughter that had been missing for 4 years. But even in the midst of celebration, the horse remained at the center of attention, its calm, powerful presence a reminder of the extraordinary force that had guided this reunion. Tom and the girls often returned to the canyon together, allowing the horse to lead the way, honoring the bond that had saved lives. Each visit reinforced trust, each gentle nuzzle or whinny a silent communication that words could never capture. Through this process, Tom realized that the horse was more than an animal, it was a partner, a guardian, and a teacher of patience, courage, and intuition. The full truth, once obscured by fear and secrecy, was now visible in the light of honesty. Matthew faced justice, but he also understood the miraculous role the horse had played. He could no longer hide behind his misguided intentions. The animal had forced the truth into the open, ensuring that the girls could finally reclaim their lives. Then came the final, heart-stopping moment that would forever bind this story together. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emily and Sarah approached the canyon's edge. The horse, their silent hero, lowered its head, ears alert, eyes soft with recognition. Emily reached out and placed her hand gently on its muzzle. "Thank you," she whispered, voice barely audible. Sarah mirrored the gesture, tears of gratitude streaming down her face. Tom watched quietly, his heart full. 4 years of fear, longing, and unanswered questions had culminated in this extraordinary reunion. The bond between humans and horse, once intangible, almost mystical, was now undeniable. The horse had not only saved lives but had restored faith, hope, and the belief that sometimes, the natural world holds answers far beyond human understanding. The canyon that had once been a place of fear had transformed into a place of awe, wonder, and reconciliation. Every gust of wind, every shadow, and every stone seemed to hum with the memory of the journey, the trials, the dangers, and the miraculous guidance of a single, determined horse. As viewers witness this incredible story, it becomes more than a tale of rescue. It is a testament to courage, to the resilience of the human spirit, and to the mysterious intelligence and loyalty of the animal world. If you felt moved, inspired, or awed by this story, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, because the final chapter will reveal the ultimate emotional closure, the healing, the celebration, and the life-affirming bond between humans and the horse who led the way. The morning sun bathed the ranch in soft gold as Tom Hensley stood beside the girls and the horse, watching the world awaken. The air was crisp and full of life, carrying the scent of fresh hay and wildflowers, a stark contrast to the canyon where fear and uncertainty had reigned for so long. Emily and Sarah laughed quietly, their voices fragile at first, but growing stronger with every step across the familiar fields. After 4 years of isolation, this moment, simple yet profound, was theirs. The horse, still alert but calm, followed closely behind. Its presence was more than protective, it was comforting. Every muscle in its body exuded strength and patience, a living reminder of the courage and wisdom that had guided the girls through unimaginable danger. Tom knelt beside them, letting them take turns stroking the horse's mane. There was awe in their eyes, reverence in their touch, and gratitude in their hearts. It was a silent conversation between human and animal, a bond that words could barely capture. The family gathered, hugging, crying, and sharing stories. Tears flowed freely, some of joy, some of relief, some of sorrow for the lost years, but all mingled in a cathartic release that seemed to heal wounds invisible to the eye. Emily turned to Tom, her voice trembling yet resolute. "We owe him everything," she said, glancing at the horse. "He led you to us. He kept us alive." Sarah nodded, wrapping her arms around Tom's waist. "We wouldn't have made it without him," she whispered. The horse, as if understanding, nuzzled their shoulders gently, ears flicking back and forth in soft acknowledgement. In that moment, the bond between human and animal felt sacred, unbreakable, and eternal. Tom reflected on the journey, the days of uncertainty, the fear that had shadowed every step, and the silent intelligence of the horse that had never wavered. This was more than a rescue story. It was a testament to the miraculous, sometimes inexplicable connections that exist between humans and animals. The horse had not only guided them physically but had taught them courage, trust, and patience. Later, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in fiery oranges and soft purples, the girls explored the ranch, rediscovering the simple joys of freedom. Climbing trees, chasing butterflies, laughing in the open air. The horse followed, patient, regal, and watchful, like a guardian of innocence and hope. Tom stood nearby, letting them be, heart swelling with pride and relief. He realized that some bonds, like the one they shared with this horse, transcended words, a reminder that love, loyalty, and courage could manifest in unexpected forms. News of the rescue spread quickly through the town. Neighbors and friends arrived, eager to witness the miracle firsthand. Everyone marveled at the horse, not just for its wild beauty, but for the intelligence and instinct that had saved lives. Cameras captured the moment Emily and Sarah hugged the animal, a snapshot of trust, resilience, and the triumph of hope. Tom watched quietly, knowing that no photograph could fully capture the depth of what had happened. Days turned into weeks, and the girls slowly re-entered their old routines, carrying with them lessons learned from their years in isolation. Courage in the face of fear, resourcefulness, and an unshakable appreciation for life. And always, the horse remained close, a steadfast presence that reminded them of the journey they had survived together. One evening, as the stars glittered across the vast sky, Emily and Sarah sat beside the corral, hands resting gently on the horse's maner. "He's more than a horse," Emily said softly. "He's our guide, our protector, our friend." Sarah nodded in agreement, eyes reflecting the starlight. "We'll never forget him, or what he did for us." Tom, standing a few steps away, smiled quietly, tears of gratitude glistening in his eyes. 4 years of searching, fear, and uncertainty had led to this moment of profound connection. He realized that the true miracle wasn't just in finding the girls, it was in witnessing the extraordinary bond between humans and animals, a bond that could survive the harshest trials and the longest separations. And then came the final, unforgettable moment. The horse, sensing the closure of the journey, stepped forward, lowering its head in a gentle bow. Emily and Sarah leaned forward simultaneously, pressing their foreheads against its muzzle. The animal responded with a soft nicker, a sound that seemed to say, "We made it. Together." The scene, bathed in golden light, captured the essence of hope, trust, and the resilience of the human spirit guided by the wisdom of an extraordinary horse. For viewers watching this story, it's a reminder that courage and love often come from the most unexpected places. Sometimes, the creatures who seem wild and untamed hold the answers to questions humans cannot solve alone. And when trust and instinct meet compassion and determination, miracles happen. As the screen fades to black, Tom's voice, calm and heartfelt, leaves the final reflection. "We were lost, but we found each other. Thanks to him, the horse, we didn't just survive, we learned to believe again." So if this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Share it with someone who believes in miracles, in courage, and in the quiet, incredible bond between humans and the animals who guide us through life's most challenging moments. Because sometimes, hope comes on 4 legs, and it changes everything.